So Monday, what date is it? Monday, the 23rd. That's right, of November. Thanksgiving week, and we're here for gentle yoga. So get comfortable. I don't plan to use a strap today, so at home you don't need to grab one, but grab whatever you need to sit on. So if sitting up on a blanket sounds good, let yourself grab a blanket or two, or sitting up on a block and a blanket or a chair, right? So if anybody's out there, let me know if you can hear. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. So sit comfortably. Let yourself get your feet, if you're sitting in a chair, really parallel and let your feet be hips distance apart. If you're on the floor, you choose how you want to sit. Stretch your legs long or sit cross-legged if that's better for you. And then just close your eyes and lengthen up through the crown of your head. Starting to watch now your breath. And see if you can just watch your breath without controlling it here. Feeling the breath coming in and going out through your nose. And then starting to let your breath come into your belly. Feeling the belly rise and expand as you inhale. And if you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, inhaling into your belly, up into the ribs, and then up into the chest. Easily when you exhale, feeling the breath come out of your chest, then your ribs, then your belly. And then start to move forward and back with your breath, letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back up to sit nice and tall. So take your time. Let it feel really easy. It doesn't matter how far forward you go when you exhale, whether it's an inch or two or several inches, whether you like to come farther forward, keeping your back nice and long. And finishing the one you're on to end up sitting back upright again. We'll release our arms on out beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then reversing to inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let your hands come to palms facing your chest. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Reach your elbows a little bit away from each other. And then turn your palms out away from your chest. And then interlace your fingers here in front of you and start to press out into the heels of your hands. Engage the belly just a little bit. Try not to round forward in the upper back. Almost imagine your chest is coming forward a little bit. And then when you inhale, start to rise your arms up as high as feels good for your shoulders. You can keep the hands forward or you can bring them directly overhead. And then come over to the right just a little bit with your hands and feel like you're just reaching a little deeper into that side body. So pressing gently into the heel of the left hand. And then coming back to center, and we'll go the other side. So just a little bit of movement, but pressing upward into the heel of the right hand there. And then coming on back into center here now. Now, if you're able to look up, do. If that feels good to stretch your neck that way and to let your throat get a stretch, do. And then as you exhale, bring your gaze back forward. Release your arms on out beside you. Let them come on down. And let your wrists circle. Let your hands circle to come into your wrists a little bit here. So moving through, reversing the circle when you're ready. Shake out just a little bit. And now if you're cross-legged on the floor, switch to bring your other leg in front, all right, so that you even out your hips a little bit there. And then again, we're going to exhale our way forward and inhale our way back up. So again, it's not about how far you go. Just enjoy letting the breath move you. So following the length of your breaths, which will be different for all of us. And see if you can let your breaths even out, the length of your inhales and your exhales. So that moving forward and back really stays about the same pace, right? So you don't feel like you're rushing through either your inhales or your exhales. And then the next time that you end up again sitting up nice and tall, let yourself stay there, reaching up through the crown of your head. We'll let our arms come on out beside us and come into a T position with your arms and flex your hands here. Bend the elbows just a little bit and then press into the heels of the hands here out beside you. And then bring your left arm on top of your right and give yourself a hug, whether you hug low down towards your armpits or up and over your shoulders. It's up to you. And then let your chin come down a little bit. Release your neck there. And roll the left ear towards the left shoulder just a little bit to come into the side of the neck. And then roll back through center and go the other way. So you just release there through the neck, the side of the neck. You may even feel, obviously, there between the shoulder blades. And bring the chin on back center, coming on up with the head. Now you can stay hugging. You can slide to eagle, half wrap arms, sliding the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow. Or you can send your hands, backs of the hands towards each other, coming into that final wrap if you choose. Imagine the breath now coming into between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll release to bring the arms on down. Inhale the arms straight back out from the shoulders. Flex your hands again. And then we'll bring the right arm on top of the left. So again, giving a hug at first. Elbows melt down, chin comes forward and down towards your chest. And then let yourself roll left ear towards the left shoulder again and release through the side of the neck. Really doesn't matter which way you go because we're going to come back through center and go the other side. Let yourself release there. And then come on back down with the chin. And we'll rise the head on back up. Whether you slide to the half wrap, the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow, or perhaps you feel like you want to go ahead and send the backs of your hands towards each other, or come into the wrap of the left fingers to the right palm. Thumbs more towards the midline if you like that final little twist. And then just breathe again into between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. We're going to unfold our arms on down beside us and shake your arms out just a little bit. Your hands too. Open and close your hands a little bit. Wiggle your fingers around. Now, if you're on the floor, you're going to stretch your right leg out and cross your left foot over towards the outside of that right leg if you can for a twist. If you need to, you can put it to the inside of your leg. And if you're in your chair, cross your thigh over your thigh if you can. So you're crossing left thigh over right. If you do the opposite, it's fine. Flex the foot. Inhaling here, and on the exhale, bring your left arm around behind you as you come into twist. So that Right hand can either be on the left knee or towards the outside of the leg, wherever works. Now feel your sits bones reaching downward, lengthening up through the top of your head. Good. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you back into center. And we are going to switch legs. So uncrossing or stretching your left leg out now and crossing your right thigh over. And again, you know, if you need your foot on the inside, if you're on the floor, it's fine. So inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to bring the right arm on behind us, and left hand can come to your knee, or you can bring the arm across to the outside. Lengthen up. Good. Feel that twist in the middle of the back as your sits bones are reaching down equally. One more inhale. And on your exhale, bring yourself on back around. And we'll just let our legs stretch out for a second here and circle through the feet. Either direction, same direction if you'd rather, or let them do opposite. But be sure and switch. Go the other way. And coming on around now towards hands and knees. You decide if you want to be on your knees or not. You're fine to use your chair, having your hands on your chair. Remember, holding the outside edges of the chair seat sometimes, if you have this kind of chair at home, takes that wrist crease out of the hands, especially if you have some issues with your wrists. Or coming onto fists. Using a blanket underneath your hands, too, can be helpful, or under your knees, of course. And now once you get here, get yourself set, let your tail just wag a little bit. Just a little bit. Little side to side. And then come on back into center. Let yourself look down between your hands. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, pull that tailbone down as you draw up into cat pose. Feel the navel drawing towards the spine. And on your inhale, send the tailbone back. Let it reach up a little bit. Now, whether you sink more into the ribs, the chest, looking forward into cow pose, or come into neutral spine is up to you. So as you exhale, tailbone curls up under, rounding up into that cat pose. And on your inhale, moving back through with the tailbone reaching back and up. Now move with your own breath again, like we did with the forward and back motion. Let your breath be what carries you. And feel free to stay in one pose or the other without moving for a couple of breaths. It's not like you have to move with every breath unless it feels good. Sometimes staying in the pose for a bit is helpful. Just really paying attention to how your own spine feels. Good. And let's finish off the one we're on so that when you come back to more neutral spine, it feels like you're right there very easily. And we'll bring our left foot forward now and our right foot back to find a lunge. Whether you have your hands up on the seat of the chair, down on blocks, any height, highest, middle, or lowest, or if you want to go down to the floor, feel free. But see if you can just make sure the alignment of that front knee is there, where you're not bending the knee way out over your toes. Your knee is stacked over your ankle. Shoulders are drawn down away from your ears. Wake up the back of that right leg. And we're going to switch and come to the other side. However you want to make that switch. Maybe you like to step forward, or maybe you like to step backward. And again, alignment of that front knee. Draw your shoulders down. Think about bringing the back of your head into line with your spine. Good. And we're going to switch again. This time, once you actually get settled in your lunge a little bit, come into a straighter front left knee there. Let the right heel descend back and down more towards the ground, probably a little bit deeper into your calf. Imagine extending your torso out over that inner left leg there. And then we'll bend the left knee again, coming back to lunge. And we're going to switch to the other leg again, bringing the right foot forward. So again, finding that lunge at first. And then coming into that straighter right knee, so the hips shift back, the left heel descends a little more down. And again, just imagine elongating your torso out over that right inner leg there. We're going to bend that right knee and come on back into lunge. And let's step forward from here. Come into standing forward bend now. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Hands can stay on the blocks. You can put your elbows above your knees. You can use the chair seat to bring your hands or forearms to. And see if your head can just nod and shake a little bit. Not to where you feel tension in your neck, but it's just really easy. You're just turning your head side to side and then maybe nodding yes a little bit so that you can feel then the weight of your head. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Enjoy nice, easy, full, deep breaths. And we'll bring our hands now up to our hips, press into our feet. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts, coming into mountain pose now. So take your time. If you need to adjust your feet, do. Let your gaze then come on forward and bend your knees a little bit, more than you normally would, so that you really feel the knees are bent. You feel your quads engaging. Press into the floor with your feet. Imagine you're trying to push the ground away from you, really, with your feet. And then start to grow up out of those rooted feet. Feel the legs start to straighten up, but not locking the knees. Thighs lift up towards the hips. Tailbone drops down like it's reaching towards between your heels. And then the hips naturally want to come over the ankles, shoulders over your hips. Now think about for a second the placement of your chin. Kind of send your chin forward a little bit, which feels really not very comfortable. And then bring it back to tuck your chin back so that you really feel very weird there as well. And then find that place right in the middle where it's so easy. It's like your head is floating up there on top of your spine. The crown of the head is reaching upward towards the ceiling. Feel that connection of your hands gently meeting there in front of your chest. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back wherever you like your hands to be. And we'll step our right foot back and come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So whether your hands are on the chair or on blocks or the floor, it all has to do with the angle of what feels comfortable for your shoulders. Let your elbows hug towards each other. Lengthen out through the spine here now. And on the next inhale, let's come on towards a plank. Doesn't matter whether you do a full plank or not. You can put your knees down. You can put your forearms down if you want to get out of your hands. If you like bending your elbows in a little bit towards your ribs, you can do little push-ups or full push-ups if you choose. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Elbows hug gently towards each other. Walk a little bit in your dog. Bend one knee at a time. Let yourself enjoy the back of the long leg there for a breath or so. And then we'll come on back to full dog. Let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge, so you know you can put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet again, hips distance apart, parallel. Be mindful of your own back. If support is best for you, use it. You can always put your hands onto your elbows. You can adjust to be where you're able now to focus on your breath without feeling discomfort. It's allowing the backs of the legs to easily open up from your torso coming forward here. And let go of your jaw, your face. And we're going to bring our hands now up to our hips and bend our knees, press into our feet, rising up and inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bringing our hands to get down together in front of our hearts. Let's sit back and do a little chair pose. Doesn't have to be low, just really feeling a little more here in the thighs, in the legs, in the hips. You can shift even lower if you choose. Make sure your knees are coming out over the center of the feet. And then press into your feet, rise on up. Let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline of the body. And on the exhale, open the arms and fold forward into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long back, whether your hands come to your legs or to your blocks or to your chair. And we'll step the left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So once again, you have to determine which feels best for you. Hands up on a surface, down on the floor, to blocks or up to the chair. Spread those fingers wide if you can. I know it's harder on the blocks. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And then let your next inhale bring you on out to your plank. And again, if you want to bend your elbows, do. If you want to stay in plank or come to the half plank or the forearm plank, do. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time left foot is going to come forward to find lunge, however you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend again. And once you're here in your forward bend, use whatever support you need, but see about lifting all your toes up. You can even, if your hands will reach down and kind of give your toes a little massage. If it feels good to do that, just waking up your toes a little bit by kind of squeezing each toe individually. Think about your arches lifting up. And then go ahead and release the toes on back down. Let's let our hands come on to our hips, bend our knees. Come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now, interlace your fingers, clasp your hands, send your pointer finger up, and start to sit back into chair pose as you bring the hands forward. Look out right over the top of that pointer finger there now. So that, imagine you're looking just right out over the top and out beyond the wall. Elbows hug in a little bit. So sitting in your chair pose, doesn't matter how low, really feel your thighs working, your hips. One more breath. And now press into the feet, rise up, keep your hands like this if you can. And if you need to keep the arms forward, do. We're going to reach over to the left, coming into a little bit of side stretch here for the right side of the body. And then we'll come on back up to the top, and we're going to go the other way. And then we'll come on back up to the top. Let's bend our elbows. Let our hands come behind our head. Now, maybe kind of to the top of the back of your head. Elbows are going to hug in a little more, and then let the elbows reach up a little bit. It's not big looking, right? Feel the head gently pressing into the hands there. Let yourself lengthen up through the front body. Feel your tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. One more breath. And then come back up so the top of the head reaches up towards the ceiling again. Stretch the arms up overhead again. And as you exhale, start to fold forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale find that long back now. And we're going to walk into down dog from here. So whether your hands are on a chair seat, on blocks, or on the floor, totally up to you. And on the next Inhale, come on out to that plank again. Now, you can decide if you want to do a back bend or not. It's not necessary. You can come down to the floor and come onto your forearms and do a sphinx, or you can come through for an up dog or a cobra, and then coming on back into downward facing dog pose. So remember, those are optional, those back bends. Walk a little bit. Let yourself ease your way. And then we're going to do that again. Come on out to that plank. Stay in plank if you'd rather. Push up if you'd rather. Moving through if you'd like to come towards a back bend. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our right foot forward this time to come into lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath us. Release into your breath, wherever you want your hands to go. Soft face, releasing your jaw. Feeling the breath easily in and out. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet, rising on up, and inhaling our arms all the way out and up, letting our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Finding mountain pose now, really feel your fingers gently connected there, your thumbs, and whatever part of the palms of your hands. Don't force it, but just feel that energy of the hands being connected, and then the feet into the ground. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down and move around, shake out, walk around if you need to before we head to some warriors here. So I'm going to turn my chair around so the back of it faces me. If you don't have the chair, have your blocks, all right? Because we are going to step our left foot forward, our right foot back, and come into a rather short lunge, right? So you can be up here as well. And it might be a little bit wider lunge if that feels good for you. We're going to head into that warrior one variation where your back heel is off the floor. Instead of coming in and down to the floor inward, it's reaching back. So that crescent pose where we bend the front knee, and then maybe all you're going to do is think about bringing yourself up to bringing the shoulders over the hips. Now, if that doesn't feel good, don't do it. Stay kind of forward. Leave your hands resting maybe on your thighs or on your blocks, and just thinking about using the core to lift yourself up. Some of you may even want to bring your arms up overhead. Totally up to you. Sometimes that lift, it gives you an extra lift through the front of the right hip. Also, maybe a little bit better for balance, right? And if you feel like you want to look up a little bit, man, that's quite a bit more there if you bring that lift to the base of the shoulder blades. One more breath. And now we're going to let our hands come back down, and we're going to come into lunge. You may want to lengthen your lunge out a little bit here now, because we're going to add a twist, keeping our right hand down and left hand to the left hip, and rolling on up with that shoulder. So the left hand can be on your low back, or you can stretch the arm up, straight up from your shoulder. Totally up to you, you know that. Really enjoy lengthening all the way back through the inner right heel. Reach out through the top of your head. And then we'll come on back down. With that left hand, we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then we'll bend our knees a little bit here. Take a couple of breaths. And now we're going to go the other leg. So we're going to step left foot back this time, right foot forward. Again, might want to make it a pretty short stance, right? Especially knowing you're going to attempt to rise up, widen it out a little bit. That broader base of support can be very helpful. So take your time. If you don't want to come up all the way, don't. Stay kind of forward. Keep your hands down to your blocks or on your thigh. Finding something to look at is very helpful. Now, whether you decide you want to bring your arms up or not is up to you. Warrior one variation now. And you can decide to look up a little bit. Think about your pinky fingers turning towards each other a little bit, shoulders coming away from your ears. And then we're going to come on back down with our hands again. And maybe a little bit different lunge, sometimes a little bit longer to add that twist. Keeping the left hand down and bringing your right hand to your right hip and going ahead and rolling that shoulder up, palm down onto your sacrum. If that feels good to you, stay there. If stretching the arm up feels really good to your shoulder, go ahead and add that. Really easy, lengthening out through the top of your head. And then we'll come on back down with our hand. We're going to step forward and get our feet right under us again. Let yourself come into your standing forward bend. If you're okay to hold your elbows, do. If you know you need the support, keeping your hands on support or elbows above your knees, do. And we'll let our hands come back to our hips. Bend our knees and rise on up. Let's inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose. Spread your fingers. Really feel that connection there. Feel the hips over the ankles, shoulders over the hips. And then again, that idea, lengthening up through the top of your head. So the chin's not jutting forward nor tucked back. Nice. We'll go ahead and release. Hands on down now. Shake out a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles if you need to. We're going to come into Warrior 2 this time, so you may want to keep your chair turned that way. And you definitely want your blocks handy. We're going to step our right foot back about parallel to the back edge of our mats. And then get our left foot about parallel to the long edge. And take your time now. Bend your left knee where you usually do for your Warrior 2. And then come into a little bit straighter leg and then bend it again. Do that a few times. So you feel the knee really lining up. When the leg comes straighter, trying to keep that knee still in line with the center of the ankle there. Not always easy. And in fact, physically, sometimes it can't be done. But the idea of really trying to stay in a line there. And then bend your front knee again. Find your full Warrior 2. We'll reach out through long arms here. Now turn your palms up, sink your elbows down for a second. Let yourself imagine you're holding something in your hands that's equal. Doesn't matter what it is. Use your imagination. Let it feel easy and good. Let your shoulders feel very melted down. And then we're going to turn our hands over and reach out through the fingertips, trying to stay soft at the tops of the shoulders as we look out over that left hand. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. We'll turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky with that left hand. Breathing into the left side in your reverse warrior. And on the next exhale, we'll come into side angle. So either your left hand or forearm can go down to your left thigh. Whether you add that right arm up into line with the right side of the body is up to you. You can keep the right hand on your hip. You can bring the hand down onto straight up from your shoulder if you don't want to descend down towards your head with your arm, right? That's different action in the shoulder. We're going to come on back into Warrior 2, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. And now let's straighten the left knee out and bring our left hand down for triangle. Now you may want to stay way up high with your hand onto a chair, seat, or back. Or you may want that left hand to come on down your leg. If you're able to reach up through the right hand, do it. If you need to keep your right hand down on your hip, do. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. And then we'll bend the left knee and come on back into Warrior 2, pressing those feet away from each other. Get you right back into core strength here. Good. Hands to the hips. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward into wide-legged forward bend. Grab whatever you need as you get your feet pretty parallel if possible. Yeah? And grab blocks if you like for under your hands. Bend a knee at a time. Just paying attention to how your inner thighs feel. And then come on back into center and let both your knees bend and let your elbows now come to rest above your knees. And you can touch the tips of your fingers and the tips of your thumbs together there. Let yourself just lengthen through the spine, lengthen out through the top of the head. And then just let your right shoulder start to drop down like then you're going to reach it across, going towards your left foot. And then come back into center and do the other side. Left shoulder kind of reaches across like it's heading towards your right foot. And then come on back into center again. And then let yourself bring your hands or your forearms or your head down wherever you need to be, where you're comfortable to be in this pose. So if you need to stay in that long back, put support underneath your hands or forearms. See if you can let your head hang though. And if you're fine to walk your hands back more towards between your feet, you can very easily just come in to be with your breath now. So if you have to adjust so that you know you're able to be here with your breath without feeling discomfort, then adjust how you need. And then just breathe. Let the breath help you so that the pose does the work and all you do is accept your breaths in and out. One more nice full deep breath. And to rise up, take your time. Use your hands however you need. If you need your feet to come closer together before you come up, do that. And then once you do get up, do walk your feet together and move around a little bit. Move through your ankles. If your ankles feel a little funny or the feet, press into the tops of the toes a little bit. And we're going to come to the other side, stepping that left foot back, lining up our heels, lining up that right knee for warrior two. So the right foot is parallel to the long edge of your mat. And then now take your time. Look down at your right knee once you get it bent. And then when you start to think of straightening out, see if you can keep the knee pretty lined up. Sometimes the knee wants to do these inward motions, and that's fine. Just think about trying the best you can to keep the knee in line with the center of the foot when it straightens and bends. And then the next time that you bend that front knee, sometimes after doing these, you want your stance to get a little longer. You want to bend a little deeper. And then we'll rise our arms up. Turn your palms again up. Let your elbows melt down. And then just envision something equal in both your hands. Something that feels good, that allows you to release your shoulders more. And then turning the palms down and reaching out through the fingertips, looking out over the top of that right hand. Maybe right out over the middle finger, really, so that you feel very centered. Feet equal in the floor. Beautiful. We'll turn the right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let your breath come into the right ribs here in your reverse warrior. And on your exhale, coming into your side angle. So either your right hand or forearm going down to your thigh or your chair. And you can decide about whether that left arm wants to come up into line with the left side of the body. Maybe straight up from your shoulder instead. Maybe hand down on your hip. And then we're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. And now straightening that right knee out, bringing your right hand down for your triangle. So, you can grab a block if you want. Have your hand down on a block in front of or behind your leg there. Left arm can reach straight up towards the ceiling, or hand can stay down on your hip. Really focus on your thighs lifting up towards your hips and lengthening out through the top of your head. One more breath. And we're going to bend the right knee and come on back into warrior two again. Pressing those feet away from each other, feeling that core strength. Nice. Bringing the hands down to the hips. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward. So grab those blocks if you need them for your wide-legged forward bend. This time, once you get down, go ahead and bend a knee at a time and shift around a little bit with your hips side to side. And then come on back into center and walk your hands over towards the right. Doesn't matter how far you go. Take a couple of breaths there, though. Once you get as far as you want, stay there. Feel the left foot pressing a little more away from the midline. Get into that inner left thigh. And then we'll come on back through center, and we're going to walk over to the left. So again, once you get as far as you want to go, feel the right foot. Press it a little more away from the midline, a little more engaged into that inner thigh. And then we'll walk on back into center again. And again, if you're fine to walk your hands back towards between your feet, you can let your hands be shoulder distance apart, hug your elbows towards each other, draw your shoulders away from your ears. And of course, if you need support, use the blocks. Put your elbows above your knees if that's good. Nice, full, deep breaths now. So really, let your breaths even out as best you can. One more breath. And then we're going to walk ourselves on back out. Bring our hands on up to our thighs and come on up to standing. And bring our feet on together. Good. Shake out a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. We're going to leave our mats where they are in here today because there's a few more people here. But if you need, we're going to get a block. And if you feel like you want to put your hand on something for support, you can find a wall somewhere where you're not close to somebody and put a hand. You don't need to be on your mat to do this, in other words. But so if you want to just step off and bring a block somewhere where you feel like you have enough room around you, you can. And then put your left hand on the wall if you're using support here. And the block is going to go to the outside of your left foot. And you're going to bring your right foot across, cross your right thigh over your left. And here we are going towards eagle, right? Now, you can bend both your knees if you want and sit back like you're coming into chair pose. And maybe that's enough, kind of squeezing your thighs towards each other. Even a slight little bend is a lot of work going on in the hips here, right? Now, you can stay up more if it's too much to bend your knee. Just do what feels all right for you in your hips and your knees. And then you can squeeze your thighs towards each other. Some of you might want to bring your left arm over your right and come into eagle arms here. And some of you might even want to lift the foot up off the block and experiment a little bit with your balance, which is quite intense. So if you flex the toes up off the block, it's still there, so you can put them back down if you feel like you're going to fall, right? So take your time. Let it feel really good. We're going to come on up from there, and we're going to turn and go on to the other side, right? So if you're not even using support, don't worry about it. Just get the foot, right foot is your supporting leg, and you've got your block to the outside of that right foot, and then you just cross that left foot over the top and onto the block. And again, maybe you want to stay more upright and not bend that right knee much, right? If you want to shift your hips back as your torso comes forward and squeeze your thighs towards each other, you can decide here too. If you like to bring the right arm over the left, come into eagle wrap here with your arms. You don't have to do the arm part, right? If you feel like you want to focus more on trying to get your balance going here by lifting your toes up, you can. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come up and from here, uncross. Shake out a little bit. And we're going to come on down onto our mats on the floor and be on our bellies, right? So take your time. come on down. Let yourself rest on your belly with your forehead on your hands. Stack your hands up. Make that little pillow, but if that doesn't feel good in your neck, you adjust however you need. And just breathe. Bend your knees for a second. Flex both your feet. And then go ahead and let your feet circle so that you feel easily now moving through the ankles. And then switch. Go the other way with those circles. Good. And then let your lower legs come from one side to another like windshield wiper blades. And you can go as low towards the floor as you want. And then come on back, nice and long with your legs now. Point your feet. Really feel now that you're going to lift your knees up and press into the tops of the feet. Engage your belly a little bit so your tailbone curls down, and just let yourself really feel that openness for the feet now as you're pressing into the tops of the feet. And then go ahead and let the knees come back down. And let's come on to our forearms with our elbows underneath our shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let yourself find Sphinx pose here. And if you know that you need to bring your elbows more towards your waist so that you're not up so high, you can do that. Or you can bring the arms up overhead more too, depending on your shoulders, right? So just really feel your hands on the floor. Really bring your gaze just forward or between your hands if you can. Now, feel the tops of the feet on the floor, but don't lift the knees up like we did. But still press gently a little bit into the tops of the feet. Feel the tailbone gently curling down a little bit and this lift in the low belly. Good. And then we're going to bring our hands together. Interlace your fingers. Send your pinky fingers out. Now, whether you want to bend your knees and lift up to the flesh above the knees for a half forearm plank here, or maybe you want to put your feet down, lift yourself up, knees up as well, and come into a full forearm plank. Press down into the forearms. Feel the elbows hugging towards each other. Really take your time. Let yourself zip up the low belly. Good. And then we're going to come on back down. And from here, let yourself bring your right forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can put your head down on your forearm, bend your left knee, and flex the left foot. And now press into the top of the right toes again, down into the floor. You're pretty engaged here. Now, if you want to add a little bit of back bend in here, lift your head up. And if you feel like you want to reach back with your left hand and get your left foot in your half bow pose, you can. You can get your ankle or the top of the foot. And if you want more of a back bend added, bring your arm down more towards your waist and lift yourself up higher. Totally optional. One more breath. If you have your foot, press it gently into your hand. And then we're going to come down, and we're going to bring our left forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat and put our head on it. And now keep your head down. Bend your right knee. Flex your right foot. And now press into the top of the left foot down there. The top of the foot, pressing down. Might even lift your knee up a little bit. And then you decide, lift your head up off your arm if you can. Whether you feel like you want to try to reach back and get hold of your ankle or the top of the foot is totally up to you. You know that. And if you want to come up higher in the upper body, the arm can come down more towards your waist, which gives you support to be up higher. If you have your foot, press your foot gently into your hand. Nice. And then come on back down. Let yourself bring your head back onto your hands stacked and then bend your knees and do your windshield wiper blades again. So lower legs coming side to side. Good. And now let's come up and roll to our left side. Now you're going to come up on your forearm. We're going to practice this little side plank. It doesn't have to be any full big side plank, but get your left elbow right under your shoulder, right? Make a loose fist with your left hand and send that fist a little towards the right front corner of your mat. So you have a bit of an angle here. And you can push down into that forearm and let yourself stay right here with your knees forward. Don't have to lift up at all. There are lots of variations. If you'd like, you can put your top right foot down on the floor, stretch your bottom leg long, and lift your hips up right there. And you can even stretch your right arm up overhead if you want to do a little variation of a side plank. Don't have to do it. Stay down. If you want to do both legs long, you can lift up, do a full forearm side plank there. Totally up to you. Staying down with the hips, knees forward a little bit is fine. You're still engaging your shoulder. We're going to switch. Come on to the other side. So let yourself just roll on through center and off to the other side. And again, right elbows right under your shoulder. And that's important because when you get it too far out, it's really uncomfortable, right? You got to get it at the good place here. And then loose fist with your right hand. Send it up a little bit towards the corner of your mat. And now just pressing down right here engages your shoulder. Press into the forearm, into your hand even, that outside edge of your fist. And that might be plenty. If you like that variation, put that top left foot on the floor. And maybe you want to think about lifting your hips up. You can even stretch your left arm up. You don't have to do these. And of course, if you want to do a full side plank, you can stretch both legs down long. You can stack your feet, or you can put that left foot a little in front of the right one if that feels better. And then we've probably had entirely enough of that. Let's roll back to our bellies here. Let yourself release your arms down alongside you. And actually, if you can, see if you can bring your hands and clasp them on your low back or towards your buttocks or low back. Let your head rest on the floor. And then let your elbows hug upwards towards the ceiling a little bit. Feeling that openness across the chest. And then release and bring the arms on down. We're going to press back in towards child's pose from here. So how far you go towards your pose of a child, totally up to you. Letting yourself come where it feels good. Arms either soft overhead or bring the arms back alongside your legs if you know that's not too much. In your knees and your back and your hips. And then breathe into your low back. Nice full breaths. Feeling the back expand as you inhale. Good. One more breath. And then letting your hands come by your knees. We're going to press our way up. And we're going to bring our legs all the way around in front of us. And if you need to sit on a blanket, do. We're just going to do a simple seated forward bend with our legs long. It sounds simple, but we're not all built for such things, right? So if you feel better to be up high, grab a block, a blanket and a block, whatever helps you feel a little better about sitting up with your legs in front of you so that you're not sitting with your tailbone tucked forward and rounding into your low back, right? And then just enjoy. Feel your heels on the floor. Draw them back towards you. Press into the balls of the feet a little bit. And then just come a little bit forward from your low back, right? And take your time. Once you've come a little bit, if you feel like, oh, I just want to slide my hands down my legs and come a little further, then do. If not, take your time. Let yourself, doesn't mean you have to come way forward to be in a forward bend. Just be mindful of feeling that sense of length. Good. Knees can be soft. Remember, if it feels better to bend your knees a little bit, do it. Good. One more breath. And we're going to slowly make our way up from here. And we're going to come down to our backs. Now, if you like to roll down through your back because it feels good to you, you can let yourself either have your legs long. I prefer to bend my knees and put my feet on the floor. And you kind of roll down through your spine. Don't do this if it doesn't feel good for your back, right? So you can tuck your tailbone forward and then up, and you can really be using your belly. Now, if you get about halfway, you're going to really feel, oh, yeah, there are my abs. You can continue. You can hold on to your legs if it helps you. Let yourself continue rolling down. Try to take your time. And, of course, if it bothers your back, just stop. Come onto your back on the floor. And then once you get down, bring your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg down long on the floor. And we're going to do just a little variation of pigeon here, where we're staying on our backs, and we're going to use our right hand to draw the right knee over to the right, and imagine you're kind of drawing it up towards your shoulder. Now from here, you can either keep your left hand on the top of your left ankle and kind of draw your lower leg in towards you, or you can put your left hand onto your right foot and hold the bottom of the foot and all the way around to the outside edge of the foot, and then hug your thigh in towards you, right? This all has to do in how you're built with your hips. So don't force anything, right? Just take your time. Let it feel good. You're engaged by flexing both your feet. If you kind of press that right leg into your hands, you're going to feel more engagement up into the hip there. Reclined pigeon. Especially nice after those eagle poses we did. One more breath. And then let the knee come on back to center. Hold behind your right thigh and extend your right leg up, foot towards the ceiling like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. Now you can keep the knee bent and kind of pull the thigh in towards you. Or you may decide you want to come into a straighter leg and walk your hands up your leg towards your foot if you want to. Just take your time. Let that leg release there, opening up in the back of the leg. Try to let your shoulders soften down. So if you're trying to hold up too high, try not to roll your shoulders up and tense them up. Nice, easy breaths. Good. And then go ahead and bend the knee again. Let the knee come down, knee come in towards your chest, holding wherever you choose. And now we're going to bring the left knee in. We've got both knees in. Roll a little bit side to side. Let yourself release there. You'll feel a little one-sided right now. And then come back to center. We're going to bring the right leg down long on the floor. Now you're holding left thigh in, whether you hold behind your thigh or on your shin. Flex through both your feet. So as both feet are flexed, remember we're heading towards that pigeon. Let your left hand draw the left shoulder over to the left, up towards your shoulder, and then the foot is right there, either for you to reach your right hand onto the top of your ankle and kind of pull the leg in towards you, or bring your right hand around the bottom of your foot and hug the lower leg in to where you can be. Don't force anything. Be with your breath. Again, the feet are flexed, and if you can kind of press the left leg a little into your hands, you might find a little more in that left hip there. One more breath. And then let the knee come back into center. Hold behind your left thigh and let the foot come up towards the ceiling. And again, you can have your knee bent, kind of pull the thigh in towards the outside of the ribs a little bit. Whether you come into a straighter leg or not, it doesn't have to be fully straight in order to get into the back of your leg. Once that leg is long, you can hold behind your thigh. Whether it's fully straight or not, you're still going to get an openness for the back of your leg. And you can walk your hands up towards your foot or your ankle if you choose. Good. One more nice full breath here. And then bend the knee. Let the foot come on down. We're going to bring both knees on into our chest. Roll around a little bit. Let your knees be a little apart as you roll side to side with your knees. And then stretch your legs on up towards the ceiling. Now both feet are coming up like you're putting footprints on the ceiling. Knees can be bent if you need. Let yourself circle your feet around a little bit up there. I mean, you can do your own little foot dance, whatever you want to do. Let yourself just move through your feet, wiggle your toes if you want. And then come into flexing both the feet, and we're going to open the legs out wider towards a wide angle here. Now, you're more than welcome. If your hands can reach down and kind of support the outside of your legs a little bit, you can not go to where you're just hanging the legs in space if it feels not good to do that. Or you can go ahead and release and let the legs hang if it feels good, just feeling those inner thighs releasing from the weight of the legs coming into that wide angle. And some of you might even want to try to reach up and get hold of your toes, your big toes, your feet, so that you're holding on if that feels good. And then let's bring the legs on back up to the top. Bend your knees now and hug the knees in a little bit towards you so you let your back go. And then bring your feet to the floor. And let's cross our right thigh over our left. So we did all this eagle stuff, right? Thigh over thigh. Bring your arms out beside you into a T position. And then lift your hips up, shift them to the right 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And let's let our legs come over to the left into a twist here. Now, how deeply you go in this twist, totally up to you. Your right foot can touch the floor pretty fast and just hold you up there. If that's enough of a twist, just take a little bit over there with the knees. If you want to descend down towards the ground, you can with the knees. Put a block, if you'd rather, underneath your leg somewhere to hold you a little bit so that you're not too intense into the twist. And then just breathe. Let your shoulders release down towards the ground. And now be mindful when you start to come back up, you might want to uncross pretty quickly and straighten yourself out because you feel really cockeyed. And you can kind of just shift around a little bit till you get centered out again now and you feel even. And then we'll bring our left thigh over our right and lift our hips, shift them to the left 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And then your knees will come over to the right. So again, how deeply you go with the knees down towards the ground, totally up to you. Use a block or blanket for support if you want. Really easily breathing. Feeling the shoulders melting down towards the ground. And when you're ready to come up, take your time. Again, once you start heading up, you uncross whenever you're comfortable to. And then again, bring your hips back in line. Let yourself release, knees in towards your chest. If a little bit of a happy baby pose sounds like a good idea, you can send your feet up and let the knees slide on off down towards the ground beside you and roll around a little bit if that's good for your back. Or anything else that sounds like a good idea to you right now. And that might mean anything. You know, you may decide you need to do a bridge pose. You may want to do a little bit of a supported bridge pose to release your back. You may want to let yourself come into both knees coming from side to side if you need another really gentle twist. Anything. It could be anything at all. It does not have to be a yoga pose. Remember, you just want to allow your body to do what it needs to do in order to feel like you'll be comfortable to come into Shavasana, not rushing. So if you are here in the studio, really take your time. I'll start to walk around so that I can bring you support. Those of you who like to have a bolster have a pretty good idea of who that is, but wave at me if I start to move around and miss you. So at home, same thing. Maybe you feel like you want to have some support underneath your knees. Maybe you feel like it would be a good idea to have a blanket underneath the back of your head so that you can really release. So in other words, if your chin is lifting up, a little bit of a roll underneath your head. Doesn't need to be a big pillow or anything, just enough to take that tension out of the back of the neck there. You're welcome. So if you're here and I need to bring you something and I haven't, wave at me here, because we really want to be able to release. Support is a good thing. After a yoga class, it's not always the same how you feel, right? So take your time, let your arms, your legs get comfortable. As you now accept your breaths coming in and going out through your nose. And just let yourself be with your own breath, accepting your inhales and your exhales. Just watching your breath like you would if you were watching waves coming in and going out. And just keep returning. Keep bringing your focus back to your breath. Giving yourself time to find those little quiet places. Giving your body time to benefit from all you just did. Just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. Start to feel yourself there on the ground again, allowing your breath to gradually come in and go out a little more fully, not forcing, just feeling the breath naturally want to deepen and lengthen. Let yourself feel your fingers and your toes maybe starting to lead you into moving. Your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs. When you're ready, move the way that feels good. You know you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to roll to your side into a soft fetal position, you might want to stay there for a few breaths to give yourself time to adjust. You may feel better to stay on your back. Just be mindful. Let yourself stay relaxed. Feel the support of the ground. And of course, when you feel okay to rise up, just let it be easy so that you almost feel like you're floating your way up to sitting, and find the most comfortable way for you to sit where you feel good in your hips. Grab blankets if you need to sit up on them. Let your legs stretch out or cross your legs. And let yourself close your eyes and just enjoy feeling that lightness of the head floating up there on top of your spine. And think about turning your hands to where your palms face up, resting the backs of your hands wherever is comfortable. And then just receive your breaths in and out. Imagine you're breathing in and out through your heart. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Monday. And happy Thanksgiving.